Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's iPlanet webinar. The title of the webinar today is People Not Paper. Just want to thank everyone for coming. We've had a very big response to this topic today, so obviously it's something of interest to a number of people. Just want to talk through, just to introduce myself, my name is Ben Sugarman. I'm the Partnership Manager with Spirico, and presenting the topic today will be someone who I'm sure many of you are familiar with, Nikki Melia, our Client Director. In the background is actually Lise Pallas, who will be answering any, if there's any technical issues in terms of accessing the webinar, you can send a message in the chat panel, and Lise will get back to you. The agenda for today, just an introduction and sound check. I hope everyone can hear me. If you have any problems, again, just send a message through the chat panel to Lise. We'll have a presentation by Nikki on the topic of the day, followed by a demonstration of the iPlanet service. And at the end, there'll be a live question and answer session. Now, that you can actually submit questions anytime during the webinar using the GoToWebinar window in the top, which should be in the top right-hand corner of your screen. Use the question panel there just to write out your question, and we'll actually read out your question and answer it at the end of the session. Just to answer a few questions about any logistical issues, if you do have any problems, as I said, use the chat feature or the question panel. If you have any problems, then I would take a note of this number in case you can't see the screen, which if you are in the UK, it'll be 0203-239-1033. If you're in Ireland, it'll be 066-915-1901. And just in case you have any help, we'll give you some assistance there. So without further ado, I will pass you over to my colleague Nikki for the main presentation.
Thank you very much, Ben, and good morning, everybody. It's great to have such a good response to our People Not Paper webinar today, and this is going to be the first webinar in a series that we're going to run that's focusing on this theme of People Not Paper. And really, before we start the webinar today, I think I just want to offer an explanation around the theme, the idea of people not paper. And certainly what we're looking at today, we're not talking about paper being the enemy or paper making us do anything that's bad or unnecessary. But what we are thinking about is the ineffectivities that a paper-based system or a paper-heavy system or approach around planning and managing the support and delivery of services for vulnerable people, of the ineffectivities that presents to you, and some of the alternatives that are available to you. So that's the real premise that we're looking at today. So in terms of a starting point for today's session, thinking about why people choose iPlanet, we're thinking about the original missing link really for people, supporters and management, that plans can look really great on paper, that people can have fantastic looking plans with lovely colours, lovely paper-based photos, etc. But sometimes the aspirations and actions that are expressed within those plans maybe aren't achieved, or maybe they're not known to be achieved. So a big decision-making factor in why people choose iPlanet is trying to get to the bottom of why this is the case. So starting off today, obviously I'm not expecting you to answer these now, but just some rhetorical questions really for you in your current roles, or thinking about planning with people, running an organisation, providing support to a wide range of people with a wide range of needs. Think about how many different pieces of paper that you might need to access in order for you to effectively review a support plan with an individual and their family and the other people who help make their lives rich and meaningful, and also go into thinking about the support of that person. So that could be professionals as well as family members. So how do you review the plan? How do you get those people involved? Think about how many different pieces of paper that you might need to access in order to prepare something like a report for your board members or your senior teams, or your monthly or quarterly monitoring reports for executive management within the organisation. And think about how much paper you might need to access to prepare your organisation for an external review or audit, maybe a contract compliance visit, or if you are being inspected or audited by somebody like CQC or another external body. So thinking about all of those pieces of paper that you might need to access, what else do you need to do in order to get hold of them? Do you need to travel? Do you need to get to different places across the organisation? Do you need to access a person's home to get particular pieces of paper that you'd need to do any of those activities or tasks? Do you need to print a lot of things off? Have you thought about the cost implications of every time you might need to print something off in terms of the paper, the ink, all the resources that are needed in order to complete that task? Do you need to contact a lot of people? Do you need to make a lot of phone calls? Are you sending letters or written invitations out? So I just want you to have had those things in mind before we go into the content of our presentation today. Think about the types of paper documents that you need to access, or that you need to view, or you need to get hold of in order for you to complete various tasks around your day-to-day roles. And then in thinking about a paper-heavy system, or a system that's exclusively based around paper documents, we think that paper has a wide range of limitations, and some of those are captured here. So there's definite limitations around harnessing and capturing the power of video and other multimedia pieces to in a paper-based system. So paper definitely has limitations for that. Obviously you can print off photographs, etc., but in terms of really getting to the power of other pieces of multimedia, there is a definite limitation in a paper-heavy system. Paper has limitations around facilitating instant communication and keeping the document live. So wherever there is paper, there is always going to be a live copy or a master copy, and where is that copy kept? And how do all interested parties know when that's being updated? Can you do that on an instant basis? Possibly you can, but it becomes quite difficult. It's also difficult to provide an easily accessible audit trail of all notes, communications, logs, issues, etc. around that plan or the management of support for that individual or group of individuals. Paper is limited in enabling easy recording and monitoring of the achievement of outcomes, especially if you're looking to record the achievement of those options against a range of multiple quality indicators at any one time. So I'm not saying that you can't do it, but I think that there are very obvious limitations that are there. With a paper-heavy system, it's difficult to access what I would call a helicopter view of whole service performance. So later today we should be able to look at how you can look at a helicopter view in terms of thinking of what's the whole picture, what's going on across a whole area, region, location, etc. A paper-based system can't provide you alerts to anything that's missed. So if an outcome becomes out of due, or the actions underpinning the achievement of an outcome are not achieved, or there's any issues in the achievement of those outcomes, a paper-based system makes it difficult for you to get readily available alerts to make you aware of that, of those things being missed, both for the support workers who need to carry out those tasks, and also the managers and the senior managers who oversee the completion of those tasks. And then again with paper, there's very, very obvious storage and archive restrictions. A paper-based system, you're always going to be creating a new version and a new version. And what do you do with the versions that have already been completed? How do you store those? How do you effectively archive them? So there's some of the limitations that we see as an issue within paper-based systems. So thinking about our theme, people not paper, we've got a slide here titled A Day in the Life, and this person here is a manager, for example, within a support provider. So we're going to think about some of the activities that they might need to do through a typical day in using a paper-heavy system. So these are some of the things that our manager's got on her agenda for today. So she needs to know how people are doing, so she can write her ongoing regular report. She wants to know if Laura got a job. Laura's one of the people that she supports. It's on her agenda to find some time to visit some other people who are supported, J, L and JM. She's received a phone call that's alerted her that there's going to be an audit tomorrow, so she now needs to prepare for that. She needs to get updates from all support services in the Western area in order to prepare for that audit. With that in mind, there's also a need to gather some financial information. and there's a very urgent need now to know what outcomes have been achieved. So in the paper-based system, that becomes a very busy and very stressful day for this manager. So she's got now lots of appointments to try and make and juggle and keep. How does she find all this information out? How does she manage those priorities that were already in a diary for the day? Not all of those pieces of paper that she's going to need to access are in one place, so she's now got travel commitments that she's got to try and fit in order to prepare effectively for the meeting tomorrow. There's very, very obvious time constraints now presented to her. She's got a very imminent deadline in the case of the audit that's pending. So she's got very real-time pressures to try and complete these tasks. And within that, in order to effectively prepare for the impending audit, there's a whole host of paper-based systems, plans, documents that she needs to sift through and get the most effective, up-to-date, timely information in order to convince the reviewing officers who are visiting tomorrow about the achievements that have been made, about how effective the organisation is working, and to effectively evidence the impact of the support that's provided for the organisation. So in the paper-based system, this manager's got a lot of tasks to try and get through today. Thinking about people working in a paper-based system from a different role, here's this individual who is a support worker, a floating support worker, turning up for his first day in work after a few days off. He's got lots of questions. He's got more questions than answers as he starts his day. He's not actually going to know what the current situation is for the people he's visiting and supporting today until he arrives. He's got to access those paper-based records on site in each location where those people live. So he's got journeys to make. He's got time pressures as well. He's got a lot of reading to do if he's visiting somebody new or there's been any updates. There's a lot of filing and documents to get through and to refresh and to be familiar with. And there's a lot of paper-based records that you will need to keep, both in terms of diaries and records for the day and any progress that's being made during the course of his support work for the day. So his day looks like this. He's visiting 3 people today and he doesn't know how they are until he gets there. He's wondering if Jay started his job or Ellen met with a family. They were priorities that he left during his last duty that he doesn't know how those things have progressed as he starts work today. He's wondering if JM is feeling any better now. He's supporting somebody new, so he therefore knows that he's got a lot of information to read. He knows he's got lots of writing up to do, and he also needs to make a call to his manager to tell them about any progress, because he knows that his manager's asked to be kept informed of the progress all the individuals he supports are making against their outcomes. So he's got a lot of work to do. He's got important jobs to do in supporting the 3 people that he's visiting, and he's also got all these additional pressures from working in the paper-heavy system, which are presenting him a number of challenges around working effectively. So some things that can go wrong with a paper-based approach to support planning for vulnerable adults are that individuals' dreams can be missed or not realised. That outcomes, even if they are expressed, are not necessarily tracked. So the impact of supporting people to achieve those outcomes are not always felt on an organisational basis, although I'm not saying that they aren't achieved on an individual basis. You can also have a problem with risks not being tracked, and risks as they present to a barrier to those outcomes being achieved. That dynamic relationship, it can be difficult to express that in a paper-based system. There can be delays in the execution of actions, so those tasks or steps that go into supporting somebody to achieve their outcomes, realise their potential, they could have delays in those things being completed. You can have poor reporting on the progress or a lack of reporting on the progress around each of those actions and the progress towards those outcomes. The service user, the people supported and their family members may not be included, or it may be difficult to include them to their full impact and effectiveness. It can be difficult for teams to work in a synchronised way, and it can be difficult to quantify the real value of the plan. So the impact of the support being provided, the values that are being expressed, and the value of the support that is going into helping that person realise their dreams and the things that they want to achieve through receiving support from your organisation. So again, moving on from the theme of people not paper, these are some of the things that we've worked with customers who have expressed this to us, and our own experiences have realised that these are issues that can occur with a service-wide approach to a paper-heavy approach to support planning. So thinking about iplanit within that, iplanit is a support planning system, but it's also so much more. So iplanit has at the centre a securely accessible website which holds the plan for the individual, which can also hold a whole host of other information that we will look at today. It has around that the access to the plan. It's got access to, for the person who receives support, to the facilitators or support teams, to a wide range of professionals, to the managers and other staff members within the organisation, the care managers or purchasers of the service, and also, and very, very importantly, the family and support circle of the person. So the iplanit footprint has developed over time from the core client developmental group who started out using iplanit a number of years ago, who really influenced its development, to in later years we've had a wide range cross-sectoral consulting input to really develop iplanit into the range of products that it is today. It's an award-winning service. You can see some of the awards we've won across the bottom there that either iplanit has won or organisations using iplanit has won for the innovative approaches that they've chosen to adopt. And then iplanit is also suitable for a wide range of vulnerable people across the whole remit of support services, be that learning disability, individuals with mental health needs, older people, the whole host of folks who are supported in the supported housing umbrella, and likewise for supported employment. So iplanit is a real flexible, configurable approach to providing innovative, impactful support services to a whole range of vulnerable people. Our caption, our tagline for iplanit is putting the action into planning. And there's a very, very strong and simple reason for that, and that's because we've recognised from the very, very beginning that the real challenge after developing support plans is actually putting those plans into action, or as it says here, really putting the action into planning. And iplanit gives you a set of steps to follow, a set of tasks and milestones to strive for to ensure that the action is being put into support plans at all times. We've got some slides now that will just give you a brief illustration around how iplanit works. So you've got an example here of a traditional planning calendar where you've got a plan and a 6-month review and an end-of-year review. Did the plan happen? Were the outcomes met? Is the person's life any better as a result of this plan? With iplanit, you can capture changes and evidence the outcomes as they happen. So you've got a truly dynamic plan at your fingertips, easily accessible, that can adapt, it can adopt, it can make changes as they occur. So you're not waiting for any formal review to capture those changes. As soon as it happens, you can capture them, you can make changes to the plan, and you can move on. So you're setting outcomes, you're delivering outcomes, you're eliminating delays on recording and reporting on delivery of the person's support and all of the achievements of the person and their support team towards the outcomes expressed. So that really means then the plans are kept alive, that the planning calendar becomes cyclical. It means that the person's always at the centre of the plan, that it stays current, outcomes are tracked on an ongoing basis, evidence can be continually and constantly captured, and the family can access updates in real time on a cyclical basis, which then, used to its full potential, really ensures that the person's life improves, that the support is dynamic, it's meaningful, and that as providers we are keeping those promises that we make to the people who receive our services. Okay. So thinking about keeping the plans alive then for the people who receive the services, we've expressed that the plans can look great on paper, but that sometimes and often the dreams and aspirations and actions are not achieved, and that can be because it can be really difficult to share plans beyond the immediate circle of people, be that the immediate staff team or close members of the family. It can be really hard to see the progress, so it can feel like you've invested heavily into creating the plan, into finding out what somebody wants, and then what happens next with that plan information. It looks lovely, but is it sitting on a shelf? It can be hard to collaborate with other supporters, and it can be hard to stay on track of the various activities contained within the plan, itemising and identifying the tasks that need to be completed in order to reach those goals. It can be difficult to find really meaningful ways to include other people within the plan, be they friends or family members. System-based approaches can be hard to use and might not support multimedia, and some systems can be very, very inaccessible for people. So iplanit helps mitigate against all of these things and helps to really keep plans alive for the people that receive services. So if we think about our manager that we met earlier on and a day in the life of that person, here she is again sitting at a computer, and she's about to log into iplanit, and she's going to find that there are no items in Jane's calendar, which gives her some cause for concern, because she's thinking, well, I know that there's a whole host of outcomes that Jane's expressed that she wants our help to work towards, so therefore I would be expecting to see a calendar full of activities, of events, of special meetings, of appointments, seeing those tasks come to life and seeing the progress towards the outcomes being achieved. She's alerted that Jimmy's actions are all overdue, and she's going to check this out and find out what the reason is. She's realised that Laura's just got her first job, and she's going to send her a card to congratulate her. She's accessed her iplanit dashboard, and she's seen that there's 5 people who have no plans at all, so she's going to make a plan to contact those teams to find out what's going on there. And she's going to use the dashboard and the reporting tab to gather evidence reports for the local authority audit. She's done this in a really relaxed way. She's just logged on, and within 20 minutes she's got this plan. She's got some results, and she's accessing reports, and it's all very, very easy for her to do so. So moving on from that pile of papers that we had earlier on, we can throw a lot of those away because we've got our easily accessible records that are available to us at a few clicks of a mouse. And then thinking of our floating support worker that we met earlier, there's our friend with a smartphone getting ready for his busy day today. He's alerted to his phone that he's got a message. He can access iplanit from his smartphone, and his plan for today is that he's visiting 3 people, and he can check iplanit to get priorities for anything that's overdue. iplanit emails me to remind me what tasks are overdue. He can access the notes section to update the notes against the progress of Jim's outcomes. He's taken photos with Laura for a media library on iplanit to record her in a new job, to use that to enhance her plan, to show the achievements that she's made with the outcomes. And he's updating iplanit with today's progress. And he's going to help Jim send an iplanit invitation to get his mum involved with iplanit, so his mum can also access those plans. So again, he's got a much more thoughtful approach to his day. He's got an effective approach to the day. He's working in a very, very effective way, using his time wisely to get the individuals that he supports getting the best out of him today. He's not pinned down by lengthy reading of paperwork or completing paper-based reports to say that this has happened or various things have not happened today. He's working in a really dynamic and impactful way. So moving on from that, thinking about some of the reasons why some existing customers in the provider community use iplanit today. That's around promoting transparency, inclusion, person-centered practices and accountability. So you can see on the left of the screen we've got the paper-based approaches and the resources that go into trying to share live and up-to-date records with the people across each individual's life. So you've got, on the left, we've got sharing paper-based information with supporters, family carers and service users, all the storage implications of those documents, how difficult it and time consuming it is to really make that happen. And then on the right of the screen we've got the person using iplanit to link up with supporters, family carers and service users in a really effective way. You can reach service users, reduce costs and risks, improve quality and timeliness of services. So you're moving away from an expensive model of support to a cost-effective model of support. From a time-intensive approach to support planning, you've got a time-effective approach to making plans happen and seeing the results and outcomes of the plans. And you've got a real reduction on paperwork. You've got easily available options to demonstrate compliance and evidence value, not just to commissioners and other external bodies, but also to families and individuals. So from your paper-based reviews, sifting through copies and documents and trying to get the up-to-date notes from the service, the up-to-date notes from the team, the up-to-date notes from finance, you can use iplanit to get those review information, and you can really spend time talking about and focusing on rather the things that do really matter. Also thinking about the people not paper theme, to consider working with a wide range of quality standards for a moment. So in using iplanit to work with quality standards, you can capture the individual outcomes and progress and use those for organisational benefits. You can capitalise on the power of an individual story. So each individual story goes further than their immediate circle. So it still remains something to celebrate within the immediate circle, but it's also having a direct contribution to the quality and performance management and data within the organisation that provide the support. There's a range of easy options to work with a wide range of quality standards. There's limitless options almost around the standards and indicators that you can work against and show how you're satisfying those indicators. There's the accessibility of organisational big data. So you can get a wide range of demographic information, performance information, and that's important in the emerging trends of the intelligence organisation across all sectors of industry within this country. The people really come first. It's a way of really showing that you're working to deliver those individual promises. That the plans are flexible, smart and dynamic. And some of the monitoring and action now, and this is by no means an exhaustive list, but we've got a number of our partner organisations who are working across a whole host of quality standards, be they statutory things like the Quality Assessment Framework or CQC standards or similar standards over in Ireland. We've got folks working to the Talking Points framework, we've got folks working to REACH standards or Keys to Citizenship. We've got a whole host of quality standards and other indicators that are available to dynamically link individual outcomes against those standards.